Welcome to Davey Take. Today we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite movies of the year. Can you believe it? The year's over, and this is, I believe, the 5th time I'm giving you guys my favorite movies of the year, so time really flies by. If I need the preference, I haven't seen every movie this year. There are actually a bunch that I missed, and these aren't like the top best made movies of the year. These are just my top 10 personal favorites, the ones I think were the best. So if you see that one movie's ranked higher but it got a lower rating, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Well, sometimes my opinion on movies change a little bit, and also at the same time, maybe I just like that movie a little bit more, even though that other movie is maybe a better film. I guess is the best way to describe it. But before I get into the top 10, I want to give my 3 honorable mentions of 2024, and those films are Dee Dee, Deadpool and Wolverine, Challengers. Those 3 films in no order were on the outside looking in. They were very close, but they just didn't make my top 10. So let's get started. Starting off at number 10 is Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' remake of the classic Gothic tale. This movie just looks incredible with a very creepy and dour and depressing tone with fantastic performances and interesting lore. This is definitely a film you should check out, and an interesting film to go watch if it's your Christmas movie. Coming in at number 9 is The Brutalist, this epic big movie that's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. I gotta say The Brutalist probably has my favorite performance this year by an actor, and that's Adrian Brody. He is fucking fantastic here, but this movie just feels ginormous. The scale of it is mind-blowing. The filmmaking behind it is incredible. It reminds me of those old Hollywood movies, and it has this interesting tale of the American dream. And if you haven't seen it, I would definitely go check it out. Coming in at number 8 is Inside Out 2, the sequel to one of the best Pixar movies they've made. I feel like no one's really talking about this movie, but I really loved it. It had an effect on me. It was a great message to teenagers about dealing with anxiety and doubts you have with yourself. And I gotta say, it's one of the best Pixar sequels I've seen. I think I said in my review, it's the best Pixar sequel if you don't include the Toy Story sequels. It's got a really fun story, and like I said, it's got a really great message about dealing with those things that make you feel like shit. Coming in at number 7 is The Wild Robot, one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. It's not so much this movie was a surprise because I thought it'd be bad or anything, it's more I just didn't know about it. And then when I saw it, it was absolutely incredible. This is the best animated movie this year. It is one of those classic, simple tales about parenthood, and the animation here is absolutely beautiful, with a great score, great music, great voice performances. This is what you want to see in an animated movie. It is great. Coming in at number 6 is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. This was one of my most anticipated movies this year, and it definitely didn't disappoint. I rewatched it. It's even better on rewatch. This movie is just so creative. It has this giant scale to it. Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic. Chris Hemsworth is amazing as this villain. But this prequel really expands the world of Mad Max, and it's a perfect companion piece to Fury Road, and it just doesn't feel like a remake of Fury Road. There's a real story here that's completely different, and it works well with Fury Road. And it's just great to see George Miller making these fucking huge, amazing movies at his age. Coming in at number 5 is The Substance, one of the most insane movies I've ever seen. The Substance was fantastic. The more days that go by since I've seen it, the more I like this movie. It is extremely creative, it's hilarious, it's really well made, and it has this message about Hollywood, the beauty industry, and this type of body horror that is so effective, because there's so many times in this movie I was just screaming out of my seat, and it has one of the most insane endings to a movie I've ever seen. It honestly is probably the most insane thing I've ever seen. Demi Moore is incredible here, same with Margaret Qualley. This is a film that could win a lot of awards, which would be great because it is so weird and off-putting and disturbing, but that would just be fantastic. Coming in at number 4 is Wicked, the film adaptation of the popular Broadway musical. I went into this movie with doubts. I was still excited because I am a big fan of the musical, but I kind of had my guard up a little bit. But I was completely blown away by Wicked. This is why I go to the theater. A movie that's huge with a great story, great music, great visuals. Wicked just nailed it in all fronts. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are magnificent here. They both deserve at least all the nominations. They are fantastic when it comes to the songs. but they really nail the characters of Elphaba and Glinda. Coming in at number 3 is Strange Darling, probably the most surprising film of the year for me. Just like The Wild Robot, this is such a surprise to me, not because I didn't have doubts, but I just didn't know much about the film. And this film was just incredibly well made. It reminded me of a Tarantino film where everything is non-linear and the story is just really interesting, and how they present the facts to you and how the story plays out. It's almost like you're solving a puzzle, and it's just extremely well made. Willa Fitzgerald deserves more recognition and credit for her performance. It's one of the best I've seen all year. It's one of the best I've seen in a horror thriller film. Coming in at number 2 is Anora, the favorite right now to win Best Picture at the Oscars. I finally got to watch this movie last week, and I'm so glad I was able to get this in before I made my top 10 of the year. Because of all the buzz I was hearing, I had a feeling it would make my top 10. But I didn't think it would be this high, and this movie completely blew me away. It's so well made, it's so much fun, but there's something deeper going on here. Mickey Madison gives probably the best performance of the year. She is absolutely fantastic. I think she should win the Oscar for Best Actress. And this movie just had so many twists and turns. It's one of those movies where you're watching, like, I have no idea where this is going, but this is so great. Sean Baker has made a movie that is just so chaotic, but at the end of the day, there is this meaning to it that feels way deeper. Alright, we're finally here. My favorite movie of 2024. And if you've been following my channel, you probably know what it is. And I'll be honest, when I first saw this movie, I even knew back then, back in March, that this would probably be my favorite movie of the year. And it was, and that is Dune Part 2. This is a science fiction masterpiece on all levels. Denis Villeneuve has directed an amazing adaptation to Frank Herbert's novel. It feels ginormous, but every single shot looks absolutely perfect, and he nails the tone of the book and the message that it's trying to say. And there's so many interesting meanings to that message and the story. The lore in Dune is incredible, and Denis Villeneuve and the crew nail that. And the movie's just so interesting. It's so exciting. It feels epic. And the last hour of the movie, it's just perfect. It's mesmerizing. It's an outer body experience. The ending is absolutely perfect. The score by Hans Zimmer is so great. It's bullshit. They won't be able to get nominated for it. This is one of the best science fiction films I've ever seen. This is a movie I think will tell the test of time. People will be talking about this movie for decades. And I'm excited to see what Denis Villeneuve can do with Dune Messiah. And this film completely shattered all my expectations. And like I said, I didn't think anything would top it by the end of the year. Anora got kind of close, but Dune just has a special place in my heart. I've seen it 5 times now. It gets better each time. All the performances are fantastic. Everyone did their job in Dune Part 2. They didn't disappoint everyone, because it's my favorite movie of the year, and I think it's perfect. So there's my top 10 of the year. I would say the top 6 or 7 stayed pretty solid. I didn't really have to move too much around there. But 8 through 15 was all over the place. Honestly, some of those honorable mentions could have made my top 10, and some other films could have been out of my top 10. There was just so much parity from 8 to 15. It could have went so many different ways, but stuck with my heart, how I felt about these movies. Those are my top 10 movies of the year. But I'm curious to hear what you think of my list and what your top 10 of the year. Please let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey's Takes.